Because I was so damn good at cussing people out, a CEO took a shine to me. He hired me for $10,000 a month to educate his grandson, who was stubborn as a mule. So, Eric's grades were terrible. Me, what's in that head of yours, a brain or a sewer pipe? All you've got stored up in there is crap, you don't retain a single valuable thing. Eric skipped class to go clubbing. Me, even tofu has more brains than you. Why try to be a decent human when you can just be a maggot in a dumpster? Eric hung out with a bad crowd. Me, someone like you? Even a dung beetle would call you a 5-star meal. You guys getting together really stinks up the joint. Later, I berated Eric into a model citizen, and I happily skipped off with a fat wallet. But Eric went crazy looking for me. He said, "Come back. I can't live without you cussing me out." The year I was at my absolute brokest, I was a sophomore in college. To make ends meet, I juggled several jobs at shops in the commercial street near campus. One day, while working at a restaurant, a drunk customer started making a scene and was incredibly rude to me. And my specialty just so happens to be cussing people out. I traded insults with him for 2 hours straight, without a single swear word and no repeated lines, cussing him from drunk to sober, from furious to incoherent, from devastated to bawling on his knees. The audience grew from one table to the whole restaurant, then to the entire street. Everyone was dumbfounded. Finally, the guy fled in terror, crying his eyes out. I calmly pursed my lips. With that little skill, you think you can cuss someone out? TSK. After it was all over, an old man in a suit and tie emerged from the dispersing crowd. Without a word, he handed me a business card. I was stunned when I saw it. This old guy was the CEO of the Super Rich U Corporation. He got straight to the point, said he wanted to offer me a job. First, I asked if it was illegal. He said no. Second, I asked about the job description. He said it was to be a tutor. Turns out, he had a good-for-nothing grandson named Eric, a junior in high school. Because he'd had a smooth life and been spoiled rotten by his family, he had no interest in studying and was only into being a spoiled rich kid. He was on the verge of becoming a total waste. The old man was so worried he was going bald, didn't know how to fix him, and then he ran into me, with a mouth as toxic as weed killer. He wanted me to berate his grandson back onto the straight and narrow. I figured the job wasn't too difficult. Third, I asked about the monthly salary. He said $10,000. You said how much? I was as poor as a church mouse. I almost dropped to my knees and thanked my lucky stars. I held that business card with trembling hands. A thin piece of paper, carrying the weight of my future. In my brokest year, I met a big sucker willing to pay for insults. Anyone would say I hit the jackpot. I decided on the spot. I'll do it. I'm in. I'll work my ass off. When I found Eric, the dude was sporting rainbow-colored hair and tearing up the streets on his motorcycle, making a racket. He turned a simple trip to school into a dramatic spectacle. The family had donated a lot of money to Eric's high school, so no teacher dared to say anything to him. They just stared, enabling his arrogant attitude. But I was different. I stopped him at the school gate. Eric's motorcycle screeched to a halt in front of me, and he immediately yelled. Who are you? You got a death wish? Hello, my name is Holly. Your grandfather hired me to fix you. Eric froze. What did you say? A tree needs pruning to grow straight, and a person needs fixing to be proper. I gave him a polite smile. After all, someone like you, no matter how you look at it, seems like a mistake from birth. If you're not fixed up properly, even a recycling center wouldn't take you. Eric was 18, and this was probably the first time he'd ever been cussed out. He was stunned for a moment, then shocked, then furious. His face turned red, and he was about to yell at me. But I'd already slapped a hand over his mouth. Someone like you? Trading insults with you is beneath me. Be good, listen up. I'm about to start my $10,000 a month job. I grabbed him by the collar, yanked him off his motorcycle, kicked him through the school gates, then got on his bike and put on the helmet. "I'm confiscating your bike. From today on, I'll be taking you to and from school." With that, I ignored the fuming Eric, twisted the throttle, and zoomed off. When school let out, I was there on time to pick up Eric. When Eric came out of school and saw me on my little e-bike, his face visibly darkened. "Where's my bike?" "Your bike's up for sale at a used dealership. Your grandpa approved it." "You son of a..." "Oh, swearing at me, are we?" I smiled. "Your grandpa hired me precisely because I'm an expert at cussing people out. Are you sure you want to have a shouting match with me here at the crowded school gate?" I didn't care about losing face, but this young master was different. Eric's face went from pale to purple to black. He held it in for a long time but finally swallowed his curses. "What the hell do you want?" "I've got a lot I want to do." Without another word, I tossed him a helmet and patted the back seat. "Get on. I'm not riding this piece of junk e-bike." "Who do you think you are?" "I'm the ancient Greek god in charge of your destiny." Eric and I were in a standoff for a while, and a lot of people were starting to stare. To save face, he gritted his teeth and got on. Humming a tune, I rode the e-bike, weaving through streets that got narrower and narrower, finally turning into a secluded alley. Eric got anxious. "Where are you taking me?" "Someplace that'll make you a little more presentable." 3 minutes later, I stopped in front of a hair salon with old posters plastered on it. I called out to the older woman shelling chives at the salon entrance. "Ma'am, could you dye his rainbow-colored hair black?" The woman wiped her muddy hands on her apron. "Sure thing." Eric exploded, yanking his hand away. "Don't even think about it." I glanced at his head. "You know what your head looks like?" "Like a rooster from my hometown's chicken coop, always strutting around, trying to impress the hens," I said, covering my mouth with a chuckle. "It's hideous." Maybe it was because my gaze was brutally honest and unwavering. Eric's expression went from anger to disdain, to doubt, and finally, to a lack of confidence. "Is it really that ugly?" "Not exactly ugly, more like postmodern fauvism, a bit too abstract." Eric scratched his hair in frustration and gritted his teeth. "Dyeing my hair isn't out of the question, but can't you pick a different place? A big-shot rich kid like him should have a top stylist custom designing his new hairdo, but I picked a middle-aged lady with a perm." Eric felt it was beneath his dignity. But what was his dignity compared to my wallet? "Nope, this place is cheap. It'll only cost $20 to dye it back. And that's on the expensive side. A regular cut is usually just $9.99. Eric was furious. "My grandpa gives you $10,000 a month, and you're still this cheap. I don't think you understand me yet." I dragged Eric inside, pointing to an old man with only a few strands of hair left, still trying to get it styled. "Trying to get money out of me is like trying to turn a desert into a rainforest. You're such a cheapskate. You're young, so you don't get it. The scariest thing in life is running out of money before you're dead. So, you gotta be cheap when you gotta be cheap." When it was all over, I rode the e-bike to drop Eric off at his house. Eric opened the door to see a clean-cut, black-haired young man. The serious old man's face instantly broke into a wide smile. "Miss Holly, you live up to your reputation. It's only the first day, and you've already made my grandson look so much better." I smiled. "Don't mention it." The dye job was $20. Reimbursement? I guess I did a good job on my first day. Eric not only reimbursed me the $20 but also gave me a $500 bonus. I was so happy that night, I added an extra hot dog to my instant ramen. A rare splurge for me. I thought this job was way easier than any of my previous part-time gigs. Then, the next day, Eric gave me a surprise. He skipped school early and showed up with 2 other rich kids, just like him, blocking my way when I went to pick him up. The 3 young masters stood there with their hands in their pockets, 2 sports cars parked behind them. One of them slicked back his greasy bangs, revealing an expensive watch on his wrist, gleaming. I was already pissed. Now I was even more pissed. The two of them looked me up and down, one scoffing, the other sneering. You're the one who forced Eric to dye his hair. You ruined such a cool hairstyle. How are you going to compensate him? I thought she was someone tough. This? We could probably make her cry just by raising our voices. Eric looked at me and sneered. You really think you can control me? Let me tell you, the three of us, with our family backgrounds combined, could make this whole city tremble with a stomp of our feet. We could crush you here with a flick of a finger. Aren't you scared? Oh, I'm scared. You guys are barking so loud. I've been afraid of dogs since I was a kid. The three of them were about to explode. Before they could, I started my usual routine. I glanced at Eric. Someone like you? Even a dung beetle would call you a feast. You guys getting together really stinks. Maggots would celebrate like it's Christmas. Eric almost had a heart attack. Why are you cussing me out again? When did I cuss anyone out? Someone like you hardly counts as a person. The slightly chubby, blonde guy to Eric's left, hands behind his back, raised an eyebrow. This little girl's got some nerve. Pretty face, but she had to open that mouth. Someone should shut you up for good so you can't cuss anymore. See if you dare to offend Eric then. The pretty boy with curly hair and obvious foundation on Eric's right, arms crossed, smirked with a cool, indifferent smile. Just a broke-ass nobody, and you've pushed our young master Eric this far. I'll give you one night to get out of the city, or don't blame us for what happens next. I was so embarrassed my toes were cringing hard enough to dig a 3-bedroom apartment in my shoes. Seriously, why were these high schoolers acting like overbearing CEOs from a drama? Even though Eric was my only client, I couldn't stand these other two wannabe tough guys. I figured I'd give them a free session. So I looked straight at the curly-haired one. Excuse me, has anyone ever told you you've got a lot of nerve? And a face like a plain dough ball with 2 holes poked in it? Trying so hard to look cool, but even a catfish has more personality. What's with the tough guy act? Blondie was stunned. I then glanced at Pretty Boy again. And you? People who know you might say you're cosplaying a poodle. People who don't would think you stuck your head in an electrical socket. Even with all that foundation, you're uglier than a ghost. Without it, you'd probably paralyze one. You dare insult me. Pretty Boy was the first to lose it, rushing at me with a raised fist. Oh, can't win with words, so you resort to fists, huh? I slapped him right back. A red handprint instantly appeared on Pretty Boy's pale, powdered face. He was so stunned he looked stupid. And my next slap landed on Blondie's face. Blondie, clutching his face, was also stunned. I wasn't going to hit you. Why'd you hit me? Sorry, force of habit. Experience is the best teacher, as they say. Through this practical experience, our 3 rich kid classmates learned a profound lesson: don't judge a book by its cover. For example, someone might seem to have a sharp tongue, but her fists are even sharper. My dad died, my mom remarried. I had no one to look after me growing up. I didn't get this far and raise myself this well on luck alone. Half an hour later, Blondie and Pretty Boy, bruised and swollen, tearfully cried uncle under my iron fist. Listening to their cracking, adolescent voices was a truly excruciating pleasure. Once they finished, my patience was gone. I got on my e-bike and pulled a dejected Eric onto the back seat. You two can go home. I'm taking this lump back. Miss Holly. Blondie timidly stepped forward. Can we come with you? We can't go home like this. Why not? Actually, we're too embarrassed to go back. Eric sighed and added. We can't exactly say that 3 big guys got beaten up by 1 girl. I couldn't help it, I burst out laughing. So that night, I rode my e-bike with Eric in front, and 2 sports cars trailed slowly and dejectedly behind me. After dropping the 3 of them off at the U family gate, I was ready to leave. Blondie and Pretty Boy chimed in unison, by Miss Holly. Blondie and Pretty Boy were scared of my insults and my fists. Before, they used to hang around Eric, all Eric this, Eric that. Now, they ran a mile whenever they saw Eric, terrified of getting caught in the crossfire. So Eric hated me even more. He posted on X, "If I can't mess with you, I can at least avoid you." And then he skipped school. Eric was very displeased by this. He said he hired me to educate the kid, not to make him worse, and if this continued, he'd dock my pay. Dock my pay? I suspected he wanted me dead. Luckily, I had plenty of energy and tricks up my sleeve to deal with a rebellious brat. I went straight to a private investigator. Didn't forget to get a receipt, I'd have Eric reimburse me later. PIs usually handle things like catching cheating spouses. Finding a high school kid was like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut for him. In just 2 hours, he had Eric's movements since leaving home mapped out for me on a city map. As soon as my college classes ended, I immediately followed the location. The first stop was a pool hall. Eric, who was in the middle of a shot, looked like he'd seen a ghost. He jabbed the cue ball so hard the 8-ball flew off and hit his opponent in the face. You, how did you know I was here? Private investigator. Are you nuts? You actually hired a PI to track me down. Well, you're too valuable to lose. Eric was about to explode. I ignored him, shaking my head at the flying 8-ball. Let's just say, your pool skills are atrocious. Such an easy shot, and you still can't sink it. Did you get those hands as a freebie at the supermarket? Eric threw his pool cue at me in anger. You try it then. Let's see you make the shot. So, I gave him a live demonstration of sinking the 8-ball like a pro, a true pool god. Eric, probably feeling humiliated, couldn't face me directly and faked a bathroom break to escape. Which led to the second time, I tracked him to a basketball court. Eric, who had just picked up a basketball, looked furious. Will you ever stop? Can't I just shoot some hoops in peace? I easily snatched the ball from him and sank a 3-pointer. Then, as he looked completely defeated, I grinned at him. Eric was not hee-heeing. He was hopping mad and, once again, hailed a cab and fled. This time, he wised up, using various disguises, avoiding cameras, and employing counter-surveillance tactics before finally slipping into a tiny, hidden internet cafe. An hour later, I got a message from the PI and casually strolled over. I walked in and sat down at the computer opposite Eric. The silly kid still hadn't noticed me. He was busy playing a shooter game, yelling his head off. I refuse to believe she can track me to a place like this. I want freedom. Nobody's gonna stop me. I silently noted his game room ID and joined. For 2 solid hours, I camped with an AWM, sniping only him. Black screen the moment he entered the game. How's that for scary? 2 hours later, Eric had a meltdown. Who is it? Who the hell is this Her Majesty? Why are they only targeting me? I peeked over my computer screen and waved at him. You clucking little chicken, Her Majesty has killed you 8 times in a row. Do you submit or what? Eric screamed. Are you a demon? I giggled. Skipping school to hang out in a place like this? Even tofu has more brains than you. Why be a decent human when you can just be a maggot in a dumpster? Since I took your grandpa's money, I naturally have to drag you back. Eric was livid. So mad he was pulling his hair out, so mad he was writhing on the floor. My grandpa only paid you 10,000. I'll give you double, okay? I'll give you 20,000. Can you please just leave me alone? How much? 20,000. That was $20,000. I got excited instantly and sent a recording of that to Eric. Eric, your grandson's offering too much. I'm thinking of switching sides. My goal was to get the CEO to persuade me to stay, and maybe give me a raise. However, the old man didn't raise my salary by a single cent. The next second, he froze Eric's card. Eric, sorry, Miss Holly. Looks like you won't be switching sides after all. I'm going to war with you cunning rich people. Eric's card was frozen. He went from rich kid to broke rich kid in an instant. His other rich kid friends were avoiding him like the plague, so no one was bailing him out. And it was all my fault. He hated me to the bone but had to swallow his anger under my oppressive rule. Right now, I was sitting on his sofa, holding his abysmal mock exam paper. I couldn't help but sigh. Eric, do you know what the difference is between you and other people? Eric proudly tilted his head. I'm richer than them. Wrong. You're dumber than them. I rolled the test paper into a tube and tapped his head with it repeatedly. Is that thing on your shoulders a brain or a sewer pipe? Others store knowledge, you store crap. You don't retain a single valuable thing. Is that brain so useless you got it for free off Temu after 999 clicks? That useless noggin of yours might as well be donated. It'd be more valuable as pig brains in a hot pot restaurant than sitting on your neck. Eric's face got darker and darker, and he started trembling more and more. Unable to bear it any longer, he exploded. You're a genius, you're amazing, you're awesome. Why don't you tell me what scores you get? I pulled out my acceptance letter to a top university, my stellar transcript, and all my scholarship certificates and project awards. A thick stack of papers, right in his face. Grandma here is smarter than you, better than you, more capable than you, more awesome than you, more. Eric gritted his teeth and interrupted me. Poorer than me. It was my turn to be speechless. Fortunately, Eric seemed to have been provoked by me. He held my stack of documents, his face flushed. If you're so good, then teach me to be like that. If you can't, it just means you're garbage too. Huh, trying to use reverse psychology on me? That's exactly what I wanted. I immediately went to see Eric. Eric, your grandson strongly requests that I tutor him. His attitude towards learning is commendable, but the 10,000 you gave me was for cussing him out. Tutoring isn't included. Eric's suddenly wanting to study? Eric's heart pounded with excitement, his hands trembled. He eagerly transferred $1,000 to me. $1,000 a week. If my grandson can get out of last place, you'll get an extra bonus. Looking at my account balance, in that second, I decided to forgive the world. I went to Eric and smiled. From now on, I'll give you 3 hours of special training every day after school. Welcome to Holly's hardcore boot camp. I guarantee you'll become a study god. Eric stared blankly for 2 seconds. Are really? More real than your life. Imagining the bonus I was about to get, I laughed wildly. Eric, gradually sensing an ominous premonition, shivered. The next day, I realized I'd been too optimistic. Before I started teaching him, I thought the kid was just slow. After I started, I realized he was brainless. It took all my strength to cram some knowledge into him. When he finally solved one fill-in-the-blank question, he let out an excited roar. So, studying is actually this simple. And I was practically dead inside. Damn it. Money really isn't easy to earn. What was even more annoying was that this dude got cocky after solving just one problem, thought he was invincible, started showing off, and was about to sneak off to play games. You really can't praise people too much. I grabbed him by the collar, pushed him back into his seat, and started cussing him out. I only stopped when he gradually stared blankly, deeply struck, and tremblingly picked up his pen to do more problems. Only then did I realize a crowd had gathered at the study door at some point. Eric's dad, mom, Eric, and their housekeeper were all there. Seeing me look back, the group flinched. Eric, you cussed out my grandson, you can't cuss me out too, okay? Ever since I got this job, I'd been unprecedentedly busy. I had to wake up early to bike Eric to school, then go back to my university for classes. After class, I'd pick him up, tutor him in the evening, leave him homework, and then go back to my dorm. Half a month passed. Not only did Eric have dark circles under his eyes, but I also looked as haggard as a stray dog. Eric was the first one who couldn't stand it anymore. He arranged for me to live in their house, and he'd have a dedicated driver take me to school when I had classes. I'd never met such a good boss in my life. To repay him, I cussed Eric out even more harshly. I had to make sure Eric saw that every penny of my salary was well spent. Fortunately, Eric's and my efforts weren't in vain. A month and a half later, after a new mock exam, Eric was no longer at the bottom of the class. His ranking improved by more than 40 places. Not only was Eric himself thrilled, but his homeroom teacher was also ecstatic. Finally, there wasn't a last-place student dragging down the class average. The homeroom teacher immediately called Eric, praising how much Eric had improved and encouraging him to keep it up. The call was on speakerphone. The teacher couldn't see the entire family on this end jumping, dancing, cheering, and screaming. He probably just thought rich people had a new hobby of raising a troop of monkeys. After hanging up, Eric was praised by his parents as if he'd saved the planet. Eric's face flushed red. For the first time, he felt a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, and for the first time, he realized the benefits of studying hard. The pumped-up little Eric did an extra set of math problems that night. Although there were still more wrong answers than right ones, his spirit was commendable. I also got my bonus. A full $5,000. I was so excited I decided to splurge. I immediately went out and bought a street food crepe with an extra egg, extra sausage, and extra spicy strips to treat myself. As I was squatting by the roadside munching on my crepe, Eric walked over. My grandpa already gives you enough money. Do you really need to eat this street stall food and pretend to be poor? I'm not pretending to be poor. I am poor. Eric thought for a moment and said. Compared to me, you are indeed poor. The crepe in my hands suddenly wasn't so tasty anymore. I glared at him. Looks like I haven't cussed you out enough. Starting tomorrow, I'm doubling the dose. Cuss all you want. Eric was unfazed. You only cuss me out because it's for my own good. Otherwise, why don't you cuss out other people? Because your family pays me. Eric suddenly looked hurt, his eyes turning red. Money, money, money. That's all you know. You might as well dive headfirst into a pile of money. He turned and ran off. He must have developed some kind of study-induced brain damage. Eric's grades improved, and the others who used to be at the bottom with him started to panic. Everyone was perfectly fine being at the bottom together. How did you suddenly shoot up? Among them, Grant and Howard were the most anxious. All three of them were set to inherit their family businesses and carried the high hopes of their parents and elders. When all three were hopeless cases, it was better. Parents couldn't even compare them. They couldn't compare who was worse, could they? But now Eric was climbing up, while the two of them were still stuck in the mud. Their parents were the first to become unhappy. Eric had become the other kid parents always talked about, constantly nagging them. Who could stand that? Good friends are like this. When you're stuck in a rut together, your bond is as strong as iron. But if one takes a step forward, that little boat of friendship capsizes in an instant. Grant was the first to approach me. Perhaps my earlier cussing out had hit him hard. The kid had lost some weight, and his chubby face had slimmed down. He looked much better overall. Hey, Holly, could you come to my house and tutor me too? Whatever Eric's family pays, my family will match it. Tutoring Grant too would really stretch my energy thin. But I was seriously tempted by the money. After much thought, I decided to first create a reasonable and efficient plan before taking Grant's offer. But before my plan was even ready, Howard showed up. His curly hair was gone, and he wasn't wearing foundation anymore. He looked like a clean, refreshing, handsome young man. He pulled me into a corner. Holly, how much does Eric's family pay you? My family will pay double. Can you switch and tutor me instead? Double. My conscience was about to give way. However, Grant popped out from some corner. All right, Howard, you dare to steal my tutor. It's your fault for being stingy. You're poor, so you blame me? So what if you offer double? My family will offer triple. Then I'll offer quadruple. I'll offer quintuple. The two of them were arguing relentlessly, while I was on the sidelines, fanning the flames. Stop. Stop it. Don't fight anymore. Even though I'm patient, teach well, and offer great value, it's really not worth fighting over me like this. Naturally, I'll go with whoever pays more. Just as the atmosphere was about to reach a boiling point, a sinister voice came from behind. You guys, dare to poach my tutor? Oh crap. The main client found out about my side dealings. I felt a little guilty. But unexpectedly, Eric grabbed my arm and said to the other two. Holly was discovered by our family first. She will always be my tutor. You guys can go wherever you want. That's not right. Your family doesn't pay much, why can't Holly earn a bit more? Exactly, Holly's so poor. What's wrong with letting her earn more? Okay, but could you guys not stab me in the heart like that? In the end, all three compromised. Grant and Howard would come to Eric's house for tutoring together. I'd earn money from all three families. But when I actually started teaching, I found that the three of them had a barren wasteland of knowledge in their brains. Teaching these three was hell-level difficulty. And the biggest problem wasn't just in teaching. Having been young masters for so long, their minds were only filled with pleasure. Especially when the three of them were together, their concentration was severely lacking. They'd study for a bit and then start thinking about sneaking off. Pity me, who originally wanted to push through and complete the task for the sake of this money. One burst of effort, then decline, then exhaustion, then, well, sorry. This job really wasn't for humans. I kept chanting in my heart. For the money, a little hardship and fatigue are to be expected. 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 Main quest, make money. Side quest, save lost teenagers. Teacher Holly's burden was heavy. I tried every possible way to strengthen their weak foundations, making all sorts of plans, annotations, and refining all problem-solving processes over and over, breaking them down and spoon-feeding them. And if I fed them, they had to eat. If they didn't eat, I'd start cussing. I also noticed. When I taught patiently, someone would always zone out or doze off. It forced my tongue to become increasingly venomous. Decades from now, you can sleep till the end of time. Do you really need a preview now? I've explained this problem countless times. If you still can't remember it, I'll have it carved on your tombstone. At first, when they were cussed out, the three of them would blush, feel angry and unwilling, or bow their heads in shame, even get teary-eyed. Later, their eyes grew brighter and brighter. Teacher Holly's cuss words are even fresher today. Even though I get cussed out every day, today's cussing was particularly satisfying. That metaphor was pretty good. I should write it down for my essay. Knowledge and cuss words entered their not-so-bright brains in a strange combination. My account balance was also growing at an astonishing rate. Until an interferer appeared in the mission. The interferer was named Annie. She was the kind of character that always appears in those overbearing CEO romance novels. Pure and pitiful in appearance, dirt poor at home, the only scholarship student in this school otherwise full of rich people. Before I appeared, Annie had always been around Eric's trio. Relying on their little bit of righteousness and pity, Annie had all her school expenses covered by these suckers. Now that the three of them were in my hands, all their spare time outside of school was contracted to me, so Annie was naturally left out in the cold. The innocent little flower classmate endured it for a semester and finally couldn't take it anymore. When I came to pick up Eric from school, she rushed out of the school gate ahead of him, came to find me, and said, "Holly, I know you're doing this for their own good, but you shouldn't take away their freedom. There are many things in this world more important than studying. Then why don't you stay at the bottom of the class with them? Why are you studying so hard? You spend every moment on the way to school memorizing vocabulary and formulas. You think I don't know? Countless times on the way to pick up Eric, I'd seen Annie flipping through her vocabulary book. Annie was speechless. I'm just. Suddenly, Eric and his two friends' voices came from behind. Annie's eyes flashed, and she immediately put on an act of being terribly wronged, her eyes welling up with tears. Holly, I just think they're having it too hard right now. Why do you have to say that about me? Eric walked over, saw this scene, and paused. No way, you're cussing out Annie too? Before I could reply, he shook his head. No, that's not right. You don't lift a finger unless there's money in it. She didn't pay you, so you wouldn't cuss her out. You really do know me well. Grant and Howard also walked up behind me. If Holly really wanted to sort someone out, she'd just get physical. She wouldn't waste words. If Holly cusses you out, it's for your own good. Annie looked incredulous. Probably because she thought those three kids had been thoroughly brainwashed by me. Annie wanted to stir up trouble, but her attempt died before it even began. Who would have thought that the rich kids who had always been so good to her would now side with me? I looked at her, then told Eric and his two friends to go home first. I gave my e-bike to Eric. Here, ride it back. Eric looked disgusted. A distinguished young master like me would never ride such a cheap vehicle. Although he said that, he eventually rode my pink e-bike away with a stoic face. Oh, and he didn't forget to wear the pink helmet. After the three of them left, I beckoned to the innocent flower. Annie looked wary. What do you want? Don't overthink it. Just treating you to a meal. I chose a noodle shop. I added a lot of chili oil to the hot soup and was sweating profusely, my makeup smudged. I don't understand why you're treating me to a meal, she said. Shouldn't you be cussing me out? Why would I cuss you out? I ordered another plate of braised beef and put a few pieces in her bowl. I know you've had a tough time. You're trying every way you can, but it's just to climb up. That's human nature. Don't talk like you understand me so well. Annie poked at the beef in her bowl, her eyes mocking. You're smart, got into a top school, have excellent grades, and can catch the eye of rich people. Just for tutoring, you get $10,000 a month. And look at me. I struggled so hard to get here from the countryside, but I don't have much talent. Even if I try my best, my grades are only barely mid-range. Everyone here is well off, only I'm destitute. The only presentable clothes I have are this school uniform. Annie got agitated as she spoke, then gradually calmed down. Holly, you don't understand how hard it is for people like me to survive. You and I are from completely different worlds. Alright, then let's just say I don't understand. I took out my phone and paid the bill. But I still have to say, the most important thing for you right now is to study hard. You need to put all your effort into studying. Only you can save yourself. Don't waste your energy on them, they're not your path to changing your life. As long as you persevere, everything you persevere for will eventually embrace you in return. After saying that, I was ready to leave. As I stood up to go, Annie suddenly grabbed my arm. I saw your notes on knowledge points from Eric. Your logic for solving problems is very clear and easy to understand. Even people like Eric and his friends could make such great progress in a short time. I think I can too. But, I don't have that much money. My family can only give me $200 at most. Can I get tutoring from you? Even an hour a day would be fine. Honestly, I was a little happy. So I couldn't help but smile. Annie, you might have misunderstood. The $10,000 a month they give isn't for tutoring. Then what's it for? To get cussed out. Annie joined the tutoring squad. She had $200, so I took her $200, but not all at once. It was in 20 monthly installments of $10 each. When the little girl gave me the first $10, her eyes were red. Holly, thank you, and, I'm sorry. If you really feel sorry, then help me supervise those three at school. These three rich kids were as stubborn as mules. You had to crack a whip to make them move, otherwise, they'd retreat 1,000 miles. Annie said she would definitely complete the mission. Every day after school, she would come to the villa for lessons, and then I would give her a ride home on my e-bike. Luckily, her home wasn't too far. Annie only had an elderly grandmother, who would meet her at the intersection every day and then thank me profusely. I liked both the granddaughter and the grandmother. And what I liked even more was that Annie was completely different from Eric and his two friends. She was a smart cookie, and even more so, a good girl. With her around, Eric and his friends had a control group. So, they all, more or less, developed a bit of a competitive spirit. The learning atmosphere also changed from me having to cuss them out to get them to be proactive, to them being able to absorb knowledge points even without my cussing. I was very pleased. Later one day, Annie happily told me, "Holly, the school told me that a kind person anonymously sponsored me. They'll send me living expenses every month. The first payment just came in yesterday. I have money now." She very carefully gave me the remaining $190. "Holly, this is the tuition fee." "No need." I patted her head. "We agreed on installments, so we'll stick to installments. Use this money to buy some nice food and pretty clothes. This is the age when you should be enjoying yourself. But I don't have anyone to go shopping with." Annie looked at me with bright eyes. "Holly, can you go with me?" Being looked at like that by a pretty young girl, I couldn't refuse, absolutely couldn't. So, I went shopping for the first time in ages. We shopped all afternoon, picked out a few outfits for Annie, and a very cute cat ear hairpin. The little girl was overjoyed. I bought myself a pair of earrings, $2.70. It pained me terribly. When Grant came to pick us up in his sports car, Eric and Howard in the car were speechless. "You shopped all afternoon and only bought that thing? Why are you so cheap?" I rolled my eyes. "What do you guys know? That was $2.70. Worth 5 full meal deals from a street vendor. And I could still add 2 more corn dogs." Life went on, busy as ever. All 4 of them were steadily improving their grades. By the end of junior year, Eric and his 2 friends were in the lower middle ranks of their grade, while Annie was in the upper middle. They used to hate exams the most. Now, they looked forward to exams the most. Every time they saw a test paper, they could see their scores getting higher and higher, a visible improvement. When I was teaching them, they weren't just passively listening. Under Annie's leadership, they learned to think critically and find multiple solutions to a single problem, all 4 heads bent together. They had now found the joy of learning. Of course, I was happy too. After all, as long as they improved, would get bonuses from all 3 families. Later on, during the second semester of senior year, with the final exams approaching, I added another hour to the evening tutoring sessions. No one complained. Every day, when the tutoring session ended, the 4 young heads were still a bit eager for more. During the first mock exam, Eric made it into the top 30 of his grade, and the other 2 made it into the top 50. And Annie entered the top 10. Eric and his 2 friends were indignant about this. "We all take the same lessons, learn the same content. Why are you so much better at it? It's not fair." The little girl tilted her chin up. "You guys have to admit, I'm just smarter than you. Learning, you know, also requires talent." The 4 of them were fooling around. I watched them with a smile. This was what youth was supposed to be like. Until the day of the final exams. Together with the parents from all 4 families, I sent them into the exam hall. Before going in, Eric patted his chest and told me, "I've already chosen my university. I'll definitely get in." The other 2 were also very confident. Us too, although even if we don't get in, we can still inherit the family business. "I'm going to throttle you rich kids." After hugging her parents, Annie ran over to hug me. "Holly, I won't let you down." I smiled and nodded, watching them enter the exam hall. Then I thanked the 3 families' parents, turned around, went back to school to get my luggage, and headed to the airport. My major was architectural design, and my dream was to become an architect. 2 years ago, a professor who really liked me told me that my academic performance was excellent, I had a lot of talent, and I should go abroad to study further. I said I didn't have money. My parents died early, and I barely finished high school thanks to reluctant handouts squeezed from various relatives like toothpaste from a tube. My college tuition was entirely covered by scholarships, and my living expenses by part-time jobs. To earn money, I did all sorts of work. I'd worked as staff in entertainment venues, as a waitress in restaurants and bars, as a companion player in basketball courts and pool halls, and also as a game booster. Thanks to Eric, I finally got a chance to turn my life around. Now I had completed my job and earned enough to support my studies abroad. I was going to chase my dream too. After arriving in the UK, I changed my old SIM card, got a new one, and immediately threw myself into my studies. I didn't forget to work part-time during my free time. Although I had savings now, I couldn't just live off them until they were gone. My busy life left me no time for anything else. Until a few months later, I logged into my social media account from back home. As soon as I logged in, I was bombarded with messages. 80% of the messages were from the 4 kids. First, there was good news. All 4 of them did well on their final exams and got into their desired universities. Then came all sorts of crying, complaining, and even threats and bribes, asking where I was, demanding I come back, and even saying they would come find me. I equally ignored every single one of them. The job was over, and so was my relationship with my employers. I continued to enjoy my life as an international student. Until one day, as I was leaving school after class, I saw 3 boys with grim faces. I rubbed my eyes. Oh my God, it was really those 3 brats. Teenage boys grow fast. It had been less than half a year, but they had grown another half a head taller. All 3 boys looked clean and bright, just, their expressions were very unpleasant. Eric stared at me intently, first gritting his teeth, then his eyes slowly reddened. You think we can't find you just because you went abroad? You went abroad, but you didn't leave Earth. Do you think buying a plane ticket is hard for us? Huh? I was silent. Those online stories always say going abroad means cutting off all ties with the past. Cut off ties, my ass. Liars. According to the incomplete statistics of Eric and his 2 friends. They and Annie had called me hundreds of times and sent over 1,000 messages. And I hadn't replied with so much as a peep. It was Annie who finally posted on our school's online forum looking for me. After a lot of searching, she found out I had gone abroad. All 4 of them were deeply resentful. Grant, Holly, you just ran off without a word. What's the big deal about telling us? Don't you know that without you cussing us out, we can barely survive? Was it really that serious? Howard, do you know how we felt when we came out of the exam hall and didn't see you? No, you don't. You just see us as a burden you couldn't wait to get rid of. You're wrong about that. I weakly retorted. How could you be a burden? You're my meal tickets. Cut the crap. Eric had the least patience. And, is it a habit of yours to do good deeds without taking credit? What good deeds did I do? Don't play dumb. Annie already found out that her anonymous sponsor was you. I said nothing. Just silently sipped my bubble tea. Annie said she doesn't have enough money for a plane ticket right now, but she'll come find you as soon as she saves up enough, Eric said. As the 3 of them spoke, they all coincidentally looked at the thick stack of blueprints and materials in front of me. Just like they had worked desperately hard before their final exams. Now, I was doing the same. Eric sighed. Holly, wait for me a little longer. I'll definitely work hard to catch up to you. I found it inexplicable. Catch up to me for what? If you still want the cussing out service, remember to add more money. My rates have gone up. Eric got angry. Can your brain think about anything other than money? Sorry, I'm a vulgar person. I grinned. I only care about money. In my 4th year in the UK, I returned home with numerous awards and honors and started my own studio. We handled several projects well, and my career was flourishing. Occasionally, I would go out and meet up with those 4 kids. Everyone was doing very well. Howard and Grant also began to learn to take over their family businesses, gradually becoming independent. Annie became the lawyer she had always dreamed of being. And Eric had already started his own business, receiving his first round of startup capital from his family. $2 million. Damn it, and he called it a small sum. Annie, I hate you rich people. Me too. Later, Eric approached me to discuss a partnership. I bluntly asked for a 10% stake. Eric held back for a long time, then couldn't take it anymore. After all these years, why are you still such a money grubber? No deal? Then forget it. I got up to leave, and Eric quickly chased after me. Wait, why did you change your mind so quickly? Can't you show some sincerity? All right. I said I agree to 10%. 15%, isn't 15% enough? 20%. I can't go any higher. For the sake of money, I stopped, turned around, and extended my hand with a grin. Deal. Little Eric, happy to be working with you. You really are still the same cunning Holly. As Eric and I walked out of the office together, we ran into Annie, who was just coming in. Her law firm was just across the street, and she came to my place for free meals all the time. Seeing Eric, she widened her eyes, rushed over, and grabbed my arm. What's wrong with you? Aren't you starting a business? Why are you still bothering my Holly all the time? I came to discuss business with her. You're the one who runs over here for every little thing, okay? Go away, don't interrupt my candlelit dinner with Holly. What the hell? Holly hasn't even had one with me yet, how come she's having one with you first? The two of them started bickering again. Looking at those 2 young, energetic, and lively young people, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Today was indeed another very happy day.